Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host HC. With me is,
Wolf.
and today we have a guest. Introduce yourself, my good sir.
Hello, I'm Aques Levaro. I'm a musician, mostly on the internet, and I have first gotten to see the show, and should I talk about myself, or I don't know?
No, you introduced yourself and you did a phenomenal job. He is a good composer, and you should check everything he does.
Oh,
Descriptions would
thanks.
be in, links in the description will be provided. But we are here to talk about the second season of Centaurworld. We already covered season one way back when. I think we did this a bit later, didn't we, Wolf? It took a bit of what,
Yeah, it was.
if
It
I
was
remember.
late 2021, but we did cover it.
Okay, but we covered that, and we were expecting a season two. You can check our full thoughts about it in that episode. You can find it in the channel. So, Aquas, to those who, because you weren't with us when we covered season one, what were your thoughts about season one of Senator World?
When I first saw season one, I didn't quite know what I get myself into because I just wanted to watch a silly, funny cartoon before going into something more serious, and I just took food upon me and placed myself to just watch one silly episode, and I get quite surprised, and I've binged it after that. I think in 1 or 2 days, and I was rather surprised and blown away by the series, mostly because of the way they introduced the continuous musicals into a cartoon series, which I've rarely or never actually seen in that way, and referenced their songs later on, just like real musical, and I've quite loved it. I think it has a few flaws, which I can see, which I've at first haven't really noticed that much. Only later on when watching it with others, and after that, I could see some things that can be quite criticized about Centaurworld.
It's one of those second viewing. You usually notice things that you didn't before, and things are you're starting to catch on things that you missed. I get you.
Yeah. And overall, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I've listened to the soundtrack. I mean, I think what catched me most is the emotional songs and the animation as
Yeah.
well. And
Because you mentioned musicals, really something I didn't mention back in the episode where we covered season one, and I want to mention Halsey is voiced by Kimiko Glenn, who was actually on Broadway.
Makes
So
sense. It
yeah,
makes total
and
sense.
and then there's me who knows her because she was also Penny Parker in Into the Spider-Verse. So
Oh.
obviously I know the people from where they shouldn't have been. I know them for the stuff that I shouldn't know them for, but and I find out about the other stuff later. But yeah. With that said, season two came out. We took our sweet time getting around to it too, but here we are now. Wolf, if I remember from for season one, both of us were pretty half and half about it, right?
It was very much a thing of, this has a lot of potential. We're interested in seeing season two. Hopefully, it improves on the areas that we felt that season one lacked in. But overall, like season one was good. Just wished it was better.
Yeah, I get
So
what you mean. Mm.
yeah, so now we're in season two, and Aquas, you're the guest. What do you think about season two? Non spoilers yet to those who haven't seen the season yet. We are still in spoiler free territory.
All right. Okay. I think season two is mixed, and it has absolute beautiful story moments, and absolutely horrendous episodes, if I can say it like that.
I already know. I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. But when I first watched it with my sister, and we've binged it in one day, and
Same.
we were nice. We were quite d- d- quite disappointed
The fact you
after.
couldn't find the word says a lot, and it kind
Yeah,
of sums up my thoughts as well. But yeah, I carry on. Sorry,
yeah.
just want to point.
We were quite disappointed when we watched the first three episodes, and thought, well, they quite lost the pace there, what they built up earlier. And after that, overall, as soon as like the middle mark was arrived, and from that point onwards, we became quite satisfied again, and we found we thought the show had reached their earlier peaks again, and had a point of where to go along, or where to go to. And the finale, in my opinion, was absolutely awesome, with flaws, of course, but I've really enjoyed how they ended it.
Okay, Wolf, what are your thoughts? Good start.
Someone asked me, after I watched season 2, it's like,
You know,
hey,
sorry, I just want to say that if you ever release this show on Blu-ray or DVD, just have that as a review quote on the cover.
Yeah.
the Outcast sigh. Someone asked me when after I'd finished watching season 1 and season 2 and everything, I thought about getting into the show, but it seems like it's way too much so random, and I'm not huge into that. What do you think? Tell me a bit about it. And I said, season 1 has a bit of that. If you're not into it, it may turn you off. But I I told them I think season 1 still gives you enough that if you're not into the so random, you'll still enjoy your experience with it. Season 2, however,
Yeah.
I'll say that if you skip the first 7 episodes, I don't think you're missing much. And I don't think you'll, have
kind of a problematic
a
when
loss of
7
context.
episodes. It's like most of the season. So
Yeah. Like don't get me wrong, right? There's good stuff in those 7 episodes, and there's stuff that made me laugh and that I enjoyed. It's just I honestly didn't feel like those 7 episodes really reflected a whole bunch on essentially the ending.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's a bit disjointed.
yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
I wouldn't go along with 7 episodes, but I would say like first 3 for me, fourth 2. But there's a song I really love.
Oh no, I get it. Like
But
there's stuff I love in those 7 episodes. There's stuff I really loved and enjoyed. Like, and we'll
but
get into more of it. But
there are
just
moments. It's just that the whole thing in general. But there are
comparing
moments in the
comparing it to season 1 for me, it's like I enjoyed season 1 a lot more than I did season 2, and I hate to say that because I really felt like this show had legs and there's a lot they could do with this, and I hope to see like their season 2 expand upon and do even better than their season 1 did. Like I had, I'll admit I had high hopes for the show because it looked like they understood and knew what they needed to do and work on and could do that. Season 2 didn't do that, in my opinion, to some degree at least, anyways.
Yeah, season 1 had like a more red,
I think it just connected more.
Red lines through it. Yeah.
Season 2 felt a bit more episode by episode.
Yep.
There was a big plot, but it felt a lot more disjointed. But on that note, I want to say that I overall think season 2 I liked it better than 1. However, I know that it's because of the final episode which we
Yes.
will get to, and being like a really good piece of television, but getting to that point, getting to that final episode, I'm still very much in the middle about it. And
Mm,
the thing I'll say is what got me to watch the show, like when a friend showed me the trailer, was that it felt like they're really playing off the balance of like the dark and serious and the whimsical and funny and overly cute. Like they're trying to balance those two things off. And I feel like the show, at least in this season, the show did the dramatic moments and like the plot driven moments so much better. But then they just, it felt like they had to shove in that humor because that's what they want to do. And the humor takes away so much from like really good moments. We'll get to it more in the spoiler section, but there are really good moments that, and suddenly there's like a joke there that doesn't belong or is just not funny, and it destroys it. It's
yeah. Yeah.
and I'm sad to say this because I really dug some of the developments that happened in this season. But like you guys said, it's just the one or two things. On that note, I I'm not sure if I would say I wished it got another season, because not much of a spoilers because I think they announced it before, but this is the show ends after this. There's no more. And I'm not sure if it was just a matter of, oh, we are ending with this season, so we are kind of rushing it so that we could get to that point. We need to get to a specific point that we planned, so we can't really dedicate a lot of time for it. But it felt like something was missing.
I think I'd say even they had the story planned from the beginning. I mean, they've even got the contract for 20 episodes, but never even announced a season two after season one aired. After like 4 months later and 5 months later, it appeared. So,
Yeah,
but I do very heavily believe that they had to fill episodes even, and that
yeah,
was what season two
Season 2 does
started with.
feel like that to some degree.
Yeah, and in the spoiler section, I can say I do think why they went for that, well, with that choice, but I do not support it.
yeah. And on that note, since we talked about the humor, this is not much of a spoiler, but this season really brought on a lot of meta humor, and usually I'm okay with meta humor. It's easy to make me laugh with those things. Like there's a reason why I'm a Deadpool fan, for example. But the meta humor seemed so out of place in this show.
That's because
Like,
it's all comfortable Doug, and no one likes
Yes,
comfortable
yes,
Doug.
yes, yes. I mean, I've enjoyed at first. Well, can we talk about spoilers from season one?
yeah, season one spoilers are good
Okay,
because I
okay.
assume if you come into season two, you most likely saw season one. I
If not,
want
what
to
the
bet.
fuck you doing here? Get out of here.
All right, it's a good statement. All right, okay. In season one, I've enjoyed Comfortable Arc in his first episode, and at first I really did not enjoy him coming back in the ninth episode, I think, from season one, with his song. Though I liked the song, but I thought we have only 2 episodes. I don't want to waste time here. I want to see plot. And
Yeah,
when I rewatched it, I've come along that, and I've quite enjoyed it, and enjoyed especially that song. But in season two, it felt like they're resting on that, and yeah, he's cool, he's funny, he's out of place, and whoopsie daisy. And that's like, he was funny when he's just
Yeah, it's
around
like
for a
they
smidge.
pushed the joke way too far.
Yes.
I-
Oh god, yes.
I
Oh
said
god,
it
yes.
before in season 1. Someone thought Comfortable Doug. Someone at the writing table thought Comfortable Doug was an ingenious joke, a super funny joke, and I'm here to tell you, I'm here to ruin your fun. I'm here to be that guy. Comfortable Doug was not.
Yes.
And you say this about Comfortable Duck, but I think this is just the humor in the show is in general. It's like they had this really brilliant idea in the writing room, which made them all laugh because they probably know this show better than everyone else, and everyone is and everyone is on board with it. But then it's not necessarily translating to a good joke in the episode. So I'm sorry, writers. I'm sure you had a hell of a good time writing this, but it didn't translate well to the audience, if you ask me, and I assume the two guys I have here with me.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I like quite some of the humor the show has, but it was funnier to me when it was a harsh contrast to the plot or to Horse in season 1, and season 2 didn't have that when they quite used it that much. And yeah, they've overused some things like Comfortable Duck way too much. I mean, um, yeah, but later on to that.
Comfortable Doug made me uncomfortable. Let's put this on the
Yeah.
DVD. Okay. So I guess we can move on to spoilers. So if you're interested in seeing season 2 and you haven't, this is your chance to close the video because we're about to talk about spoilers in 3, 2, 1.
And still watch it. I mean,
You still,
even
yeah,
if we're talking
this,
mixed feelings, watch it.
Oh no, I mean,
yeah, like so. If you're
like
still
the last
here,
episode.
yeah, if you're still here, good. Everyone dies. That's the end of the show.
like
That's how it ends.
real quick, right? Like I might have problems with it, but do watch the season 2. It is good. Like it's not,
Yeah.
there's a lot worse you could go out there and watch.
Yes,
We'll
And I
say
do
this,
think there's
it
some good
pays
stuff
off.
here.
It pays off.
It pays
The
off.
patience pays off, but you just have to realize you'll have to sit through plenty which isn't paying off in order to get to the stuff that really pays off. But
I mean, if you don't want to skip it, for the ending, even. I mean, it's just when I've watched it with Lethy, we've watched the first episode, and then I've just decided to skip like most of 2, most of 3, quite some of 4, and then we've watched it.
you can just imagine
along.
you pass it, running by Netflix when, like, after you press next episode and you just get to the next episode, Netflix would just have a seriously, bro, you skip the whole thing, and it's like, yeah, it's. Don't blame me.
Well, at least my account watched it fully beforehand. So
Yeah, there you go. On that note, I kind of started watching the first 3 episodes of this season. I watched with a friend of mine, and whenever I think when episode 2 ended, we were just like, okay, we need a break. We need to watch something else.
Yeah,
This was a lot, and then we started watching episode 3 the next day. And we were like, okay, this is a lot. We need to take a break. And it's bad when a show about Centaurs is making you feel weird to the point you say, let's watch Ninja Turtles. That makes a lot more sense.
yeah.
I
Yes.
mean,
And that show's
yes.
terrible.
Wolf, no. But so on that note, the start was really hard to get into, especially because again they just went so overboard with the meta stuff. Like suddenly the characters apparently watched the show too, to the point they comment how the Rift was a two-parter and how they ended on a cliffhanger and they need to solve it. And I'm like,
Oh, are we going to talk about episode? Episode 2 is my least favorite. I'm just gonna be blunt. Episode 2 is my least favorite. It's all the meta humor. Like it feels like Mark Beeks from DuckTales. How we agreed that he was too good at being just annoying. This is that,
but in a
except
good
an entire
way,
episode.
Yeah, it's like he was annoying, but we also hated him as a character. It's not that we hated him because we love to hate him.
because
It's,
he was good written annoyingly,
yeah.
Yeah,
and
but
that's a difference.
Yeah, but it translates to like he was written too well, just too well. Like I hated him more than what I probably should have. And I don't know if it's a compliment to this episode or not, but this episode is that to a T. Except for in a character, except it's not a character, it's an entire episode, and it's written too meta. It's written too well and too much meta, and it's just too much going on, and it's just pass. I can't anymore. Next episode, please.
I get it. And I mean,
by the way, if I may comment on it's a nitpick because she is in the season and she is doing stuff, but at the end of season 1, Water Baby goes to Ryder's world with Ryder to try and keep the fight going, in that world, and then she basically is not in the show a whole lot until again halfway through, even a bit more, and it's like, so what was the point of sending her there if she's not gonna do much until halfway through the season?
Yeah, I think they've just wanted to show the machine with which they are creating.
So again, did we really need for her to go back at the end of the first season and build that up and stuff? And I'm not sure whoever's going to get that reference, but all I'm going to say about this is that I'm not satisfied.
Like I liked it, yes. Genuinely, I actually enjoyed more the parts where we were back in Ryder's World, and I remember saying it.
Yeah.
Our season 1 coverage. What I felt they needed to do, was mix their, be willing to go back and forth between Horse and her gathering the army and Ryder and Water Baby and whoever else, doing stuff in their world, in the real world or the human world. Yeah. And they needed to be willing and able to switch back and forth between the two. That way they could have their more whimsical stuff in Centaurworld, and then in the human world it is darker, it is grittier, and we go to that and we cut between the two. And if they do it well and they time it right and they make the cuts at when they need to make them, they'll make those moments of whimsy and those moments of gritty realness that much more poignant, right? Because they have they have it timed well. And that's what I felt season 1 did to some degree. You had Horse and everything she's going through and what she's dealing with emotionally, all of that is cut into the whimsy. Like the whimsy is there, and then you undercut that with Horse's drama and her emotions and everything she's dealing with and going through, and it works really well because you get a break from the whimsy. Season 2, like, you don't really get as much of a break from the whimsy.
Yeah, and I think at least in episode 1, I thought this is what they were gonna do, because they did cut back and forth between Centaurworld and the real world. Let's call it that. We did get some, some time there, and then they just kind of drop it until halfway through the season, where suddenly we get this full episode in Ryder's World, which, don't get me wrong, it was a great episode if you ask me, but also a bit too late into the game.
Yeah, like you had a few moments here or there, but I feel like season 2, especially the first 7 episodes, it really hammers home the whimsy, and I'm fine with that. I can enjoy shows like that, but it's nice to have a break from that every now and again to do something a bit different. Too much whimsy is a bad thing after a certain point.
especially because they want to make it whimsy. They want you to think, oh, it's too. It's the gimmick of the show in a sense. So you need a break for it from it
And
because
you
that's the
might
point.
say,
Want to
right,
balance it.
they give you
Sorry, I
all
just want
that.
to say.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that the point of this show was like that it balances the drama and the humor, and I feel like the humor got a lot more of a spotlight. And in a show you need to play at 50-50. I think the humor got more than 50%, and also if
Way
it's supposed
more.
to be 50-50, you get a show where 50% really works, in my opinion, and the other 50% doesn't.
and,
And that's kind of a problem.
and I know some people, right, they might say, well, they gave you all that humor up front and they saved all the drama for the final episode, right? The problem is one, the final episode had humor in it too, but the final episode felt so good because, again, it was that mixture of drama and humor, and
Yes.
it all blends so well. And that's why you're going to hear a lot of people praise that final episode so much. But then, again, like, that's such a great example of it blended well. Why couldn't we have that throughout the season, right? Like, I understand, if you wanted to save a lot of it for that final episode, but I needed something more in between, and you just didn't give me a lot of it. And while I
Because
don't mind Lol So Random, after a certain point, I'm just tired of it, and I'm just like, okay, can we move along? Can we move along?
The contrast is missing.
Yeah, because I was about to say that again, talking about the episode, which is Just Rider, Just Rider's side. There are it's obviously like a plot-driven episode. It's a serious episode, but then you get some breaks from it, like there's Becky Apples.
Oh, I love that song.
It's good.
Yeah,
that's a good song.
Which is just
I won't lie.
And that song is good. I don't like how they kind of do the entire jealousy thing, but it's a pet peeve. But the thing with Becky Apples in that episode is that for one, Ryder has to like persuade her, and then when she kind of loses her, she suddenly comes back to help. And this is the good type of humor that you're not expecting it. And also the fact I think that Becky Apples doesn't talk in the entire show, it also kind of helps. That
and Becky
it's
Apples
just
is
that
fucking insane.
She is such a good character.
I love. Yes,
she is such.
That
a
was
good
one
character.
of my favorite things. That was from episode 6. Like, that's when I'm like, all right, this was good. That's when they combined like the realism, the gritty realism, the drama with some really great like out there humor. Just Becky Apples being this absolute like cold-blooded assassin horse. It's just what is
it's
this?
Almost like
what am I watching? But I'm loving it.
It's like someone watched Tangled and it was like, yeah, let's do Maximus, but female and a lot more deadpan. We got a character.
How many did she kill? We'll mark it down by 6. But we know she was more, don't we?
That's great.
It's so good.
Yeah, and so you see that part's good. That part's great. And again, I brought this up in the season 1 episode, but the thing that kind of, in terms of the animation is beautiful and everything, but I just don't like Horse's Centaurworld design. I think she should have just had her original look throughout the whole thing. I think it would have looked better because I don't know. There is something about the contrast suddenly goes away when she has this design all the time. I don't know. Maybe it's a pet peeve.
At first, I was quite. I thought the same in season 1, in episode 7, where she transformed. But at the end, I got used to it, and in season 2, at the start, I have to say I kind of like it because she started to kind of like it, and when she was well, we can talk about spoilers now, right?
Yeah.
When she
we
was
are in the spoiler section.
Okay, inside of the Noah King's mind and got her true body back. And she sadly said, "Oh no, my wibbly wobbly form." It was so awesome that she misses it now. Yes, that's like I love that transformation, but I can see why would not like that design because I've disliked it at first too, and I can greatly imagine how that is how the other design could improve many moments. I can see why.
I'll admit it grew on me too.
Yeah, right.
Before so before we go, before we actually talk about the rest of the thing, in terms of kind of characters, I want to bring up Doppelton because I wasn't a fan of him in season one personally, but I kinda liked him a bit more in season two.
Listen,
What do
he
you guys
became
think?
a dad and he became cool. I'll admit it. I actually like him a
Yes,
lot more. Daddy Derp.
I, I'm. I'm quite surprised. I thought it could be. I thought your opinions could be different because I've heard some people disliking his daddy son scenario
Really?
because it was a bit too fast for them. But
Oh yeah,
I've enjoyed that quite too.
it moves
It gave him
quick,
character
but
though.
it does. I think the quickness of it doesn't bother me that much because it works for their characters pretty well. Again, it does move
Yes.
pretty quick, and you could say, well, I would like it if it slowed down, but I don't think slowing down would work as well for this show.
And
Right?
Yeah.
also, I think there was a good contrast with, Doppelden just wanting to be a dad, like right away, wanting to adopt this thing. But the kid itself is like, he's questioning it. He doesn't really want it until he sees that
He's
Doppelden
kind of
actually
forced
really
into
cares about
it.
him.
Well, also,
Yeah.
you see that like Stabby even, confronts him like, hey, you're not listening to me. You're not hearing what I want to say or what I want to do and things of that nature. And Durbleton, does acknowledge this eventually and does kind of come around to the idea of like, oh, I'm just doing what my father did to me again to my own son now. And, they get better and they change up and they start to listen one another and care more, right?
Yep. Yep.
On that note, just a quick sighting, but Doppelton's mother is voiced by Ida from the Owl House.
I know
And that
it's so
What? I did
good.
not know that.
it's one of those things that like I just heard and she's just became one of those people that's like, oh, that's Ida whenever she's in anything. I just recognize her voice. But then I also think like, was she just at the recording studio for no reason because she has like maybe 5 lines in the entirety of the season
Yeah.
show? So it was cool to hear her, but also very random.
Yeah.
Very random.
Like you have such an amazing voice actress. Why not use him
Yeah.
more?
But let's all agree that I guess this is a better thing to put on her IMDb than Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeakquel. I'm not joking. She's in that movie. Check it out.
Really? Oh, I mean,
Yeah, she's there
I'll
in live
pass.
action. I mean, check out that she was there, not check out the movie necessarily.
yeah. I get what you mean. Well,
Google it. But so yeah, I just want to point it out because it was so odd to me. But so I like Doppelton a bit more in this. Also, Wanna Wing, I was actually not. Is it Wanna Wing? No, it's not Wanna Wing. It's
You mean
Glendale?
Glendale?
Glendale. That's her name. The one that's voiced by the show's creator. Like, I also thought she was a bit too much in season one, but I kind of liked it a bit more in season two. She got a few more laughs out of me,
Mhm.
especially like that exploding arrow that she was just like, "Oh, that was here. You better fire it quick." I don't know why I had it there, but
Oh, yeah, that
use
was
it.
good. That was a good little joke.
And then she has this voice, and then when she starts singing, she suddenly has this beautiful angelic voice. I like it. That was good.
Oh, yeah. When she changed the way how she acted her out, it was quite nice.
Mhm. And let me think if there's anything else. So another thing regarding the meta humor, this is a joke that I couldn't believe I was watching it, and as I was watching it, I had this weirded out face apparently because apparently my mother walked by when I watched that scene and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm not sure what to think about this because there's the point where Zulius finds a boyfriend basically, and yeah, and I know they're dating because they literally pause the episode, and I'm not joking. Everything around them freezes as they talk for like a minute or 2 minutes about their official ship name.
I mean, yeah, when they've met again, I mean, sure as heck they're dating. I mean,
Yeah, it's not that. It's just the idea that we pause the entire episode just to discuss their ship name and how shipping
yeah.
works, and it's like, people, I know that you're proud of your own jokes, but this is not the time. This is not the place. It was such a weird joke for this. I don't know. Like, but
I
okay.
get what you mean, but I mean, I kind of like Sirius, and I've
No, the ship itself I don't mind. It's just
yeah, the
that they
joke.
pause an
I know,
entire
I know.
episode.
It's I thought it was sweet to see them together with that, but I see that that joke could be out of place. Yeah, I could get what you mean.
Mhm.
Even if we take a look, I mean, I've searched with Centaurworld and IMDb and thought I'd look at the rankings of the episodes. And season 1 has like 8.1, 8.5, 8.2, 8.8, 8.1, 7.9, 8.6, 9,
What's
9.1,
for
and
season 2?
9. And season 2, yeah, that I thought the rating displayed quite much of what is generally how the show is seen, because season 2 starts with 7. Then the second
Oh,
episode, which we all loved
yeah.
and cherished, has a 5.9. Um,
Ooh.
yep. Third, 7. Then 7.1. Then, with the backstory episode, 7.9 again. Then the Human World episode, 7.8. Then the Hoot Nanny, 7.6, and the ending, 9.2 again. And I think that's
Yeah.
quite how you can see the show. I mean, that's a really good resemblance.
Honestly, weird thing to say, but I think IMDb just did the job for us. This
Yes,
is basically
I
how it
mean,
is.
Shush, we
it's.
can't know. This is our show.
I mean, of course, those are our second accounts and thirds. So we've they've
Yeah,
yeah.
Wolf has a theory
Outward.
that whenever I recommend him a video or something, he just says that I watched a certain video with an opinion he doesn't agree on 4 million times. So maybe he's right. Maybe.
Maybe. But
And
you are right, though. It
Anyway,
does kind of line up with what we've been talking about here so far. That when you see these ratings, like, we're not much different in terms of what we've talked about so far. Like the episodes that got rated higher do have stuff that we generally tended to like more, like the Ballad of Becky Apples, and that having, just the Becky Apple song, and then like just everything with Becky Apples being this cold-blooded assassin horse. It's just, again, that's when they did extremely well. That's the stuff that really landed well.
yeah,
And you can't, deny that. In a bunch of Scrunch, where, that's when we get Horse discovering her backstory magic, which we've not talked about that yet. But you also get, to see Darpleton's backstory, and you get more of, Darpleton and
okay.
Stabby as well. It's
Speaking of that, speaking of the backstories, and it kind of leads to the final episode, but I liked the idea of like Horse just learning the backstories, that she just has this power that she can charge into something and then see the origins of it. With that said, was it ever explained how she actually got it?
no, it's
well,
just she's
no,
in
not
Centaur
really.
World,
Yeah,
so
it's
Yeah.
she
just
can do it
she's
now.
yeah,
Which is
yeah,
fair.
it's just
It's
Um,
a clever way to, like, hey, we want to do flashbacks to people's past so we can get more
yeah.
character stuff.
I mean, they have
yeah,
exposition leaves, so
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's clever.
which is
I
a
give
cool
them
way
credit.
credit where it's due, but it's also like, hey, welcome to Centaurworld. Here's a random power. Discover, run into things, see what
I mean,
happens.
at
And
the
it's like,
same time, Hey, welcome to Centaurworld. Your tail is now funny and makes jokes and can talk.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to
I think
Centaurworld. You
the-
know, you've completely changed your form and shape. You're wibbly wobbly now. I mean, that's kind of been Centaurworld's whole thing of, hey, welcome to Centaurworld.
Yeah.
Here's a random power. Even at the end, you know, spoilers, we see Ryder at the very end. She's in Centaurworld and she's been there for a while, and all of a sudden her hair just changes color and shape and is wibbly wobbly now. And it's like,
Apparently,
that's
okay.
Centaurworld. Welcome.
So I guess moving
It's
on to
on
the
brand,
finale.
at least.
Well,
moving-
before we get into the finale, before we get into that, I just wanted to say something about the start too. I think the first four episodes were just there for Horse to be depressive or depressed,
Oh
and
shit! Yeah, you're right.
yes, and I mean, thank you, and uh, for her to be depressed so that she can then rage out or be at the bottom of herself to find that ability to talk with Wama Wing, and for her to have that character arc, and that is the whole point of the first four episodes, mostly three, but the fourth even as well, but that has a bit of payoff for that too. But the first four were just for that. And the first one, it was well, it was really no one, but Chad had its moment or his moment. The second one was Zulius, third one Glendale, fourth one Wamawink, and that was the point. That was just for her to be sad and to get to her lowest point, for her to get out of there and discover that ability, and for her to see how she can be confident again, or for her to have the more dramatic breakdown even about Becky Apples, and
Yeah.
that was just for that. And why did they have
It's
to
the-
make four
the first half of
episodes?
the first half of the season is basically just let's shit on Horse because she
Yes.
needs to get to rock bottom.
I mean, I
at
feel like that
some
was
point.
the majority of season one.
Yes, but that was like she had something for that to work with.
Fair.
Yeah,
But
it's
Horse
like,
gets it
I
rough
guess
more often than
when
not.
you take when season one, because in season one it was also like kind of the point, it was kind of the joke and the point of the journey that she's moving on despite this.
Mhm.
Here it's just we need to. It's like, why won't we just frame her for murder or something? It's really 4 episodes to just get her to that point. But okay, cool power. I guess maybe.
And another thing I've came to notice after watching it a second time is the first season had a lot of fart jokes, and at first I thought, oh well, yeah.
Just that this season had it too, but not as much, which I appreciate.
Yes, and I thought it was because the fans begged them to be a bit more aggressive with them. But 5 months later isn't enough time to change 10 episodes and remove all of that in
Yeah.
put screen times. I think so. And if you think about it a bit, it makes sense character wise, but isn't really ever directly addressed except for one point in Doppelton's backstory when he
Yeah.
makes the songs. Once I learned to control my farts. And that was the first and only fart joke beside mind farts, which we come to later.
Yeah.
Two
Speaking
other.
of which, when this happened in the flashback with Appleton, I was like, oh yeah, right. That was like a thing for him in season one. I forgot
Yes.
about that.
And with him losing his farts, or him becoming a father, he learned to control that. And despite, I mean, with that, kind of the whole cast for some reason. But I think that is the point why they removed that and only gave that to Horse with build up tension in these backstory moments, which I kind of liked.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
it was
not a lot of shows use farts as dramatic build-up, so okay, credit where it's due. That is unique.
it's just something I didn't notice at first, and only later on, and I think that is why they removed most of them there. Yeah.
So with that said, series finale.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
All right.
so regarding the finale itself, what are we? Do you guys want to talk about the stuff we like about it first, or the stuff we didn't like about it? Because I have one thing that I didn't like about it at all,
Up
despite
to
the
Douglas
you.
song.
humans bit.
Douglas song.
Uh, and Douglas Song, I think, was Douglas Song the cowboy one.
Yes.
I actually kind of enjoyed that one. I thought
All
it was
right.
pretty
You
funny.
Okay.
did? Ugh.
Okay.
Like let me rephrase that.
All right. Okay.
I enjoyed it because it was so stupid and out of nowhere. I enjoyed it in the same way. In the same way I enjoyed The Room. It's not good, but it's
Okay.
hilarious for how bad it is.
I can see what you mean. I mean, I didn't. Yes. Well, it was. I mean, I saw the screen time flash by, but
Thank
uh,
you. Same.
uh, when they jumped around and bit his nipples and
Yeah,
twirled
and
around it, I thought like Netflix, you're advertising this for kids. Which is something I have a big problem with in this show. It has so many horror
yeah.
elements, and
Which, by the way, I love how they have notes for when an episode has like flashing lights and everything, but this has no warning whatsoever.
yes,
Like priorities.
To be
you're
fair,
promoting that for children.
right? Like there's stuff that's come out in the past that has been somewhat worse than this that was for children. Like looking back at some old Disney cartoons and stuff like that, there's been some pretty heinous stuff that's just like this is for children. Wink.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but that is, yeah, okay, it's a good point, but I mean,
But like,
even
But
the
I do
horror
get you. You're
elements.
not wrong, right? Like, this is for children. Probably, if you do have young children, don't leave them by themselves. Watch it with them so you can help them through it if they need it, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
better to cover their eyes because
Uh,
um, on that. So, but besides that, there's just this other thing I just couldn't. I couldn't understand why in the hell did we even do this? Was after Horse comes out of the villain's mind, and and there's this entire thing where she tells Ryder, "Hey, listen, our commander is the bad guy. We kill him. We kill we kill one. We kill the other." And Ryder is just suddenly is just like, you were always kind of you were always kind of silly. Like, what you're just a horse, and it's like, why do we need this? Why is this suddenly a conflict? Why exactly? And then there's this entire thing of like, and I assume they're going to do this because the commander stabs Ryder, and they are playing it off as if Ryder is dead, and then it's like, yeah, she's okay, everything's cool. That I hated because the scene where they like say goodbye to each other, that was actually pretty effective. That got me. That
Mm.
was really sad. I felt sorry for that, and it's like, nah, Ryder is okay. She's alive. Everything good.
Yeah, they took a bit of the consequence out with that. I, yeah. I don't regret how they've made that for myself at least, but I can see why, and I was a bit taken too when I realized, oh, she's fine. But I mean, I was okay with that. I could arrange myself with that, but yeah, it takes a bit of the follow through away. I mean, I don't know how to say this. A bit of the
It's
effect.
just like yeah, you just had this really good dramatic moment there, and
Yes.
suddenly it doesn't matter anymore because she's alive. You, I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And but I'll say this: at least they didn't just go back to the beginning of the show and rebooted everything. I appreciate that.
Again, right? Like it's they
Whoever
wanted
got it.
they wanted to have their happy ending, and I get that, right? But they also
Yeah.
wanted to give you some drama there and make you like, oh, is she
Yeah.
gonna make it? Is she gonna make it? And she does make it, right? But I get like, hey, they had a really heartfelt moment there. It worked really well. Oh, she's back alive. It takes away from that. It takes the sting away from that, that effect, like you said.
Mm,
But I do get it. Like it's not, oh, this ruins the show now. There's plenty of other things that
No, it
ruin the
doesn't
show.
ruin. Yeah, it
No.
doesn't ruin the show, but it was one of those. You had a good emotional moment there.
Mhm.
Like it
yeah.
could have still been a happy ending. It's just because a character dies doesn't mean it's not a happy ending anymore.
Yeah,
But
no, I agree
okay,
with you. I
fine,
get you.
whatever.
But it's a
I
small
mean,
nitpick, I
too.
think.
With that said, the rest of the final episode, which by the way was suddenly and now like an hour, it was the final episode is while every other episode is 20 something minutes. This is a whole hour and a few extra minutes, and I just didn't feel that. I didn't really feel the time that it didn't feel like an hour to me, at
No.
least at first.
Oh no, it did not. I mean, that is though why I at first when I've watched the series didn't really enjoy Hootenanny that much, and the second time I enjoyed it way more because
Yeah,
I thought we have only 20 minutes to resolve all of that, and you're
yeah,
wasting 20 minutes to prepare and be funny and whimsical before that. How will you how will you resolve all of that? And when we
the
stopped
solution
at,
make the yeah, the solution is making the final episode longer, supposedly.
yeah, it's just I mean they've signed for 20 episodes and they only released 8 in the other season. And when we paused that and had a quick break, my sister noted that well, this episode's like 3 in 1, and I was like, oh, that makes way more sense.
Yeah.
And that was needed.
Well, mhm.
That's why a rewatch
But
of the 7th episode is way better now because you don't have the pressure or the fear of losing too much time.
Mhm.
That is,
which it's
yeah.
kind of interesting that you can go back to something after the entire season is over and be like, oh, okay, I get it now. But
Yeah.
also, if a first viewing doesn't leave me with a good impression, I might not do a second one. But
Yeah, I
okay,
see.
but still, you know what? Credit where it's due. Credit where it's due. And speaking of credit where it's due, everything else about the final episode is freaking great. Like the backstory, the twists, I was hooked. It was so good. So good.
Mm.
I mean, it's something I always say. If you, I mean, if I recommend the series for someone else, especially with season 2 being out, I mean, I always say the show. If he heard something about it, I mean, the show has flaws. You can skip part of season 2 if you really want to, but I really recommend it for the whole spiel revolving the Nowhere King. Everything around that character is so beautifully made, and that
Mm.
story alone is what is the most the best highlight of the series for me.
Yeah. But it's so well done. Like,
Because
go ahead.
I just want to say that when I saw when they started it, we started seeing like the flashbacks to his backstory and everything, I was initially like when we thought that like just Ryder's general stole the woman, the no working glove. Then it's like, oh, really? Is what it's all about? Is this like it's essentially a love triangle? But I was like, oh, come on, really? Then they drew this twist that the Nowhere King is the general, and he just kind of split. He was a senator, and then he like split himself into an animal and a human, and both of those have conflicts with each other, but they also can't harm each other because if one dies, the other dies too. And I suddenly it just threw me this twist that I wasn't expecting, and it was
Yes.
like, holy shit!
Yeah, I
When
was
Like
gonna.
I thought they were going to do something completely different today, but then I was like, oh shit, that's really damn good. Good job, writers.
I mean, when he split and you had the elk or the deer, yeah, elk, right?
I think it's an elk.
Okay, and you have the elk and then the general. I mean, that changes viewing the whole season. At least the
Yeah,
human parts, and that was so mind blowing.
like I was just like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing there, and ever since then I was just like hooked, and it also kind of solves the thing earlier because I was like, because I thought, oh, Ryder's commander is just doing the traditional worried commander that it's like, oh no, you shouldn't go there, or oh no, you shouldn't do this. We need to think about the strategy, and we need to worry about the people here. And then suddenly everything just started making sense, that he wasn't just a dumb traditional general or commander. He was protecting himself. It
Yes.
suddenly just threw this entire new angle on things. I'm like, oh shit, oh shit! Like it was a legit good twist and that had hints
Mm.
at it, and we just didn't see it. So it gets a thumbs up for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say like episode 8, or the final episode of season 2, is just, it's so well paced. Like we hit on it a little
Mm,
bit between like
yeah.
their switch between humor and drama and how well that was, but going past that, even it's well paced because of that, but it's also well paced because how they choose to reveal the backstory to you. They don't do it chronologically. It's done. Hey, here's the moment. Okay, now we're gonna go back to a little bit of the goofiness and the funniness, and then hey, here's another moment that reveals a bit more, but it's not. None of it's done sequentially. It's all, oh, here's a moment that's at this point in time, here's a moment that's after that, or then before that. Like the first moment they show you is that when they first flash back is him being freed by the woman, right? And her turning out
Mm,
to be like someone important. You have no clue what's going on. It's just an elk that can talk that was apparently, in captivity for a long time. Like he looks awful looking at that point when she
oh
releases him.
yes.
But
Yeah.
that's really what they show you is the very end of his backstory. From
Mm,
that point forward, you're shown the very beginning, or you're shown a moment that is in the middle, and then you're shown the very beginning. Like I love how they do it because it all connects back to what's happening outside of the backstory as well, and the stuff going on there. And then you finally get to like, and it's revealed in these points of, oh hey, the general still looks like a good guy. Oh hey, now the general's not the good guy anymore. You clearly see that he's also the problem. He's also very much evil in his own way too.
yeah. Yeah.
Traditional Disney like a Disney twist villain. It's like, oh, I was actually an asshole this whole time. It's like, no, it was done gradually and
Mhm.
naturally, and they lead you
The
into it
only
well.
the
So
only issue I have with the general and the woman's story, like, Elktar's story and this woman, is that they
yeah,
frame it in a way of her escaping his abuse at the very end. And the only problem I have with that is that we never really get to see a lot of that. Like, you get tiny amounts of it in the backstory, and then you kind of just have to gauge, like, okay, you can say the general lied to her for a long, long time, right? And so that was the abuse there, the lies, the deceit, and everything going on there, and what he was and what he truly was, right? The only problem is we don't get to
Yeah.
see a lot of that, and then to frame it at the very end of her escaping abuse feels a little bit tacked on, but it's a very minor nitpick on my part in regards to overall a genuinely amazing backstory reveal with this
Yeah.
character that is told very quickly but extremely well. Like we've talked
And
about it
I
in other
think it's
shows.
just
This one
that.
uses its time in this final episode exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. And I think I coming from, but I also think that her leaving him wasn't it wasn't the main focus. The focus
No.
was more to see how much that split fucked him up
Mhm.
and the consequences he suffered for it. Because they also have this little moment at the end where she's the one to deliver the killing blow to him. She's the one to kill him.
Mhm. But yeah, I mean,
So
it's also right. Um, again, there's nothing wrong with it. It just to me, it felt like, okay, this is a bit, out of nowhere right here. I get what you're going for. It just felt like maybe you needed a little bit something more for this particular moment to work, because I think it would have been better if it was Ryder and Horse doing it instead of her. It felt like you kind of needed her to have a moment when it felt like she's never really earned that moment at all in the entirety of the show thus far. Like everything we've seen her has been her kind of putting other people through her own form of abuse in a way, right?
Yes, but I mean, in Rift Part 2, where she stepped in with the token, at first she wanted to do nothing with the Nowhere King anymore.
Mm.
But then, after being a bit more convinced by Wama Wink, she stepped in, had the staff, or made the staff there, and said the chant of the wedding with her marrying this man, part of this side, that being all a lie, that leading to abuse of his other side, that leading to um, uh, creation of a completely new race by forcing people to fuse, that leading to a war between those sides, and her knowing part of that, and her being trapped in Centaurworld. So when she walked in, you see she really feared him for what he became now, and
yeah,
said this chant
because
in
she
order to give her strength and to make her angry at him. But fear was more what controlled her, and that fear, I mean, I guess in the end, is what turned into anger then.
Which is fair. Like going back and watching it, I think it has a lot more impact now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, very fair. That's
when
actually a
when
very
you
fair
know
point.
that, yeah.
It's a very
All
fair point.
right.
I commend you for that. That is a very fair point.
Thank you.
It's very much a thing of
yeah.
you. It's a long, play, I suppose you would call it, but it
Mhm.
does. If you look at it in that respect, it pays off very well at the very end. I agree. That's a very fair point.
Thank you.
So that's also a thing that shows that I didn't have the time to rewatch season one beforehand. So thanks for that. But anything else regarding the show?
I mean, I guess we should ask, right? Looking at the ending of this episode and of season 2, would you want a Centaurworld season 3?
No, I
Um,
think it has to end here. I think I mean they even showed the end at the end,
yeah,
but it
I
has
will
to end
say,
here.
yeah, I will say, not necessarily in terms of a season three, but if there's like like, let's say, let's say a spin-off, if you know what I mean. If there's like a spin-off of like another
Mm-hmm.
show in this world, or maybe a prequel, a sequel, or something, I wouldn't mind seeing them do something else with that universe. Just not necessarily another season of this.
That's fair.
I mean, yeah, I could see even a season 3 with this here, but in like in a more episodic way, like we just wanna see more of the characters, more of the world, but not in a plot related way. That plot has to end,
Mm-hmm.
and that has to be done with it. I've enjoyed the characters and the universe and all, and especially the songs, man. but um, I think the story and this whole arc, a spin-off series would be fine too, but something. But I'd be totally fine with the series ending this way, because I mean the first half is flawed, especially how it drags out. But especially when you think about what's the point of that, and the point just being to getting her down, that's just but the finale is what matters most in
Mm-hmm.
series, and they've just delivered an awesome piece, and I'd like it to end that way
That's fair.
on a high note.
That's fair. Very fair.
Yeah.
And I personally would
Um.
agree too. Like I don't want any more at this with Centaurworld. I feel satisfied with what we got. But it is worth
Yeah.
asking the question, if we were getting a season 3, is there anything particular you would want from it, or do you even want a season 3? And I think the overall prevailing answer is not really and not much, which is fair.
Say I want it, but I don't want the season 3. But if they'll do something else with this universe, I'd be interested in checking it
Yeah,
out.
me
It
too.
Which
Me
is fair.
too. Yeah. Yeah.
just depends what they're gonna do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Nowhere
so I
King is back,
guess
baby. He didn't die.
No.
sure.
He revived.
Mhm.
He's
Horse-
in the
I
staff
hope
now.
Horse becomes
by
evil.
the
Horse
actually,
becomes
you know
the new
what?
Nowhere Queen.
Yeah, so kind of a random note to end on, but something about the Nowhere King's design. I don't know. I'm not sure if you guys even know what I'm talking about, but he looks like one of the enemies from the game Gravity Rush on steroids, and I'm saying this is a good thing because it reminds me of Gravity Rush, and more people need to play Gravity Rush.
Mm.
I
There.
need to play Gravity Rush. I've heard so much about it, especially the second game, and even in
Yeah.
our studies, we've talked about it a bit.
Yeah. So
And
you should, Wolf, you should too, and everyone who's listening to this should play it. That's all.
Talking about designs, right? Like this show has a lot of great designs or interesting designs
Yes.
for some of them. The Nowhere King is just a truly phenomenally good design, in my opinion. It really
Yes.
captures that vibe of like eldritch horror of abomination deal. Like this
They're
thing.
marketed for children.
Absolutely, the only way to market to children. Give them eldritch
Honestly, though,
abominations.
I've seen worse design than
Listen,
that.
we live in a
Children.
world where Cthulhu has been made into like cute anime girl. Nothing is sacred
No.
anymore.
No, Wolf. I'm not sure if you remember, but there's that baby form of Godzilla from Shin Godzilla, which people made cutesy fan art
Yes,
for. And
I
I'm
do
like,
remember. Nothing in this world is
seriously?
sacred anymore. Nothing is sacred.
Even not just the design, just the idea that that people made cutesy Godzilla fan, like the king of the monsters, and you see him as like a bubble dragon. It's like, are you fucking kidding people? Really?
Nothing is sacred anymore.
Actually, you know what? It reminds me that earlier this week, a friend of mine sent me that they're making a Spider-Man show on Disney Junior, and I'm like, really? We reached that low? Really?
But when we're talking about design, what I really like is, but I haven't noticed that when I watched it first. only through a review, is that the Nowhere King in his backstories and memories, he always focuses on food memories and on food and how he likes to eat and everything. And the Nowhere King has this empty stomach design, and all of that translates to his the elk, his character, and how he sees food, because he starved for like 10 years.
Yeah.
That's the only thing he wants to see, he wants to remember, he wants to have. And that is beautifully made, in my opinion, with all of that, and never completely addressed horse, just like this is the seventh food memory. Come on, focus, yeah.
Okay,
And
you know what? I take everything back. The finale sucks because the finale clearly should have been the Nowhere King dying of starvation. Like, like
I mean,
10 years it did.
it's
Come on.
it is a really nice subtle callback though, because again, you do see the Nowhere King as this very sickly looking creature and this very almost hungry looking creature, ravenous looking creature, and the fact that the elk in his backstory is always focused on food or food memories, right? It's a very good subtle nod, and it just again it speaks to how well done this final episode is, and why couldn't this have been the entire season?
yes,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
yes. That's what I mean. I mean, they had this awesome story, but they didn't have as much as 10 episodes worth of doing that, so they didn't drag it out, which was a very good decision. They just made episodic parts and loosely related them by having this arc with horse emotions, because they didn't have much more to do there. They needed to fill that space. I don't know if that was to fill that space because they made the 20 episode contract, or because they wanted to, but they just had to fill that first space, and that is what felt how it felt like.
I guess it's one. I wonder if one of the in like sometime in the future we're gonna get like a writer's interview where they explain exactly what happened with this show and why certain things are like they are, are the way they are. Maybe in the future we'll have all the answers, and we'll say, okay, we understand you, but
Oh,
the
and
facts of
one last question is, why did woman not change her appearance when she lived in Centaurworld? Something that Leffy asked when we watched the show, and I was like, And I have a theory, but I want to hear your thoughts first.
Okay, so I am just gonna be honest and say animation fuck up. but if you have a lore idea, hit me.
I guess
I do have one.
My guess would be she was born in Centaurworld, or we never see her parents, but potentially one of her parents are or was a centaur. Would be my guess.
I think she was fully human, but she went oftentimes into Centaurworld when they were connected, and she told, I don't know how the Nova King and the General were called earlier. She told
say elk centaur.
Elk Centaur. She told Elk Centaur that she started to learn magic and could perform magic with her short amounts of time staying in Centaurworld. So I think she learned to control the magic before the magic learned to control her body. And that is my explanation, and why she never changed, and everyone else, because she learned to control the centaur magic beforehand.
Interesting.
It's just a theory, though.
No, but I mean, that's a good theory, though. I could see that.
Yeah, it's a good theory. I'm not gonna be the one who makes that reference. I'm not gonna make that reference.
A game theory.
Thank you.
I'm canceling the show. We're done. I'm canceling it.
Or
Okay.
film theory in that.
Yeah,
canceling
it's
the
more
show.
film. It's more film. It's more film theory. But anyway, I think that's all for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed it. What are your thoughts on Centaurworld Season 2 on the show in general? You can tell us all about it in the comment section below, on our Tumblr, which is Berkcast Team, and on our Twitter, which is Berkcast with a capital B, capital C. Aques, thank you for joining us, and where can the people at home find you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
Where
Where
can
where
they
can
find
find
you?
me? Oh, right. Yeah. You can find me on. I'm sorry. You can find me on SoundCloud, Aques Levaro, or on YouTube. I've made, for example, a Centaurworld cover from the Nowhere King a while back, which really got momentum with season 2, and hopefully in a few months I can do a medley of a few songs from season 2. I've also already planned what song will transition into what one, but I don't know when I can do that. But I'm really looking forward into that. Yeah.
Okay, then. So, with that said, thank you all for listening. Until next time, I was HC.
I was Wolf.
And I was Aquas.
And we will see you all next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.